And with journaling, it allows me to take a step back and really think about what's happening at the moment. Why am I having this feeling of anxiety? And what do I need to do? Hey everyone, welcome to the Highest Version podcast. I'm your host, Randy. And on this podcast, we talk about falling in love with the process of getting better every day, becoming the highest version of ourselves. On today's podcast, we're going to talk about one of the best habits that I ever developed when starting my mental health journey, and that is journaling. If you really want to improve your mental health, I highly recommend doing this habit. There are multiple sources out there saying that journaling really does improve your mental health. So let's get into it. One of the benefits of journaling is helping to reduce your anxiety. Now, through my experiences with anxiety, journaling has really helped me stop that cycle of continuous thought where I'm just always thinking, and then to the point where I forget to breathe. And with journaling, it allows me to take a step back and really think about what's happening at the moment. Why am I having this feeling of anxiety? And what do I need to do? Another benefit of journaling is that it really helps me look at the event or the situation that I'm dealing with from an objective standpoint. When our feelings get involved in our thinking, I just feel like it makes you not do the things that are in your best nature or that you want to do, or it's like making a decision too fast, really. And when you look at things from an objective standpoint, it really allows yourself to, again, take a step back and really assess what's happening here. Not only that, but it improves awareness about things that are happening in your life. When you're journaling, you basically talk about what's happening in your life and events that make you feel a certain type of way, whether that's happy or sad. And it really just makes me aware of what am I doing and what am I intentionally doing in my life to get to where I want to be. Now, another benefit of journaling is that it reduces stress and puts you in a better mood. Now, the way that it reduces stress is that you're not keeping all of those thoughts and all those, negative feelings in your head. It gives you a chance to really put that out on paper. And journaling also helps me with the idea of acceptance. Now, acceptance is a concept that is sometimes really hard for people to understand, just because sometimes we deny things that happen in our life, and accepting really is a skill. And it really helps with people that go through perfectionism, because it allows you to accept the mistakes that you've made, or maybe some things that happen out of your control. Now, there's a lot of things that we probably want to control in our life, but sometimes that's just inevitable. Like, that's not the case that we can control everything that happens in our life. So it helps with accepting what is and learning how to move on with it. Journaling also allows you a space to talk about whatever you want without any judgment. When I journal, I really just let out whatever emotions I'm feeling, whether that's negative to the extreme or that I want to keep close to my heart. Just having that kind of space is really relieving, because when we're other people, we watch what we say, and sometimes you just want a space where you just can let out anything that you want without any judgment, and it's just you and your thoughts, really. Journaling also helps you reflect and discover more about yourself. Journaling actually helps you reflect on what's happening in your life and how you feel about it, and are you going in the direction that you want to, and if you're not, how can you help yourself fix or put you back on the path that you want to. With self-discovery, I really learned a lot about myself through journaling, because I was looking at how I was dealing with certain situations, how I was feeling, kind of those automatic thoughts and automatic feelings from these certain events that happened in my life. And in order for me to kind of understand what I need to work on a mental health standpoint, the fact that I can learn about my certain behaviors and my certain tendencies really shows just what are my next steps, what need to be my next steps to understand how I can improve on my own mental health or build the life that I want, or create the identity that I want, or how I want to help myself just push myself in the direction that I want to. Again, it really just gives you a bird's eye view, kind of a picture of what's happening in your life right now, and kind of who you think about of yourself. Now, we just talked about so many benefits when it comes to journaling, and now I want to share with you guys my format for when I journal in the morning and when I journal at night, just to give you some ideas and give you some questions to make you really think throughout the day and be intentional with your time. My morning and night journaling kind of combine these two types of journaling: expressive journaling and gratitude journaling. Now, expressive journaling is, like I said before, is like it just gives you a chance to really let out those feelings, those thoughts without having any judgment. Just a place for you to vent, right? For all my people that think, they're a burden to other people when they are letting out their feelings, like, this is a perfect opportunity for you to just rant to yourself and really look at the situation that you're ranting about. Gratitude journaling is like highlighting the positives in your life, kind of allowing yourself to understand what is going well for you in your life. Because sometimes when we're stressed or, in a rut, in a very negative mindset, we forget just those things that we are grateful for in our life and the positives in our life. So for my morning journaling, the first question I ask myself is, what are 3 things that I am grateful for? The reason why this is the first question I ask myself is because it sets up my day with positivity. When we take the time to understand what we are grateful for and appreciative of, it highlights the positives that we have in our life versus focusing on the negatives, and in a world where there's a lot of negative things being thrown at you especially. And I challenge you to not just put the obvious things like your family, your partner, your pet. Really think about things that if you didn't have would really create a kind of an obstacle in your life. So for example, like if I didn't have a desk to work on, right, then I would probably have a lot of pain in my back, right? So I'm really grateful for the desk that I have. If I didn't have coffee, I wouldn't have the energy needed to help me push past, the afternoon slump. So kind of think of things that really just push outside the boundaries of the obvious things in our life that we should be grateful for. But really think about the things that bring a lot of joy to your life, even on a macro level and a micro level. This question also puts in perspective, no matter what stresses or negative things that are happening in your life, it allows you to really feel the positives and be appreciative of what you are given or what you have in your life, because life in itself is a blessing. The next question I ask myself is, what do I want to accomplish today? The reason why I ask this question is because it helps me set my day with intention. Lately, I've been super focused on intention, especially with my time, because time is a currency that we cannot get back. It is super and highly valuable. It really is about the tone that I want to set for myself for the day and how I want to keep myself accountable for it. The next section I ask myself is, what are 3 aspirations that I have for myself? Now, these are things that are my goals or my passions. For example, like, really become successful at content creation or really excel in my career. I think we all want to manifest something in our life that we want to happen. And this is the section to really put it out into the universe that this is what you want to do. Now, there's better language out there that I highly encourage you to look out for resources on writing out those aspirations, but it really helps me manifest my goals and what I want to do later in my life and really build the legacy that I want to build. Now, the last thing I write in my morning journal is a affirmation. With an affirmation, it really keeps that positivity or that motivation to get me through my day. So for example, I've written things like, I am enough or I am loved. Those are things that I've written down when I've woken up and felt like, not too great about myself or really struggled with some kind of self-confidence. So having those certain affirmations can really help you bring up an energy in yourself to be like, okay, I got this. And, let yourself know that you're amazing, you're doing great, and you're on the right path. Now, let's get into night journaling. Do it at a time where you feel like you're awake and have energy to really go through these questions with intention, because I've experienced being really sleepy and writing down all my answers to my questions in my format and just going through the motions instead of intentionally being cognitive of the questions that I'm asking myself at that time. So, all right, let's get into it. So the first question I ask myself is, what could I have done better today? Now, I know we're starting off a negative standpoint because it seems like we're judging ourselves on whether we did enough or not. But I think it really sets the tone of, are we progressing towards the goal that we want to? But really, it's a good way to reflect on intentionality and how you're going about your day and just, continuous improvement. Always improving on yourself and getting better or getting 1% better every day. Now, this question, I don't want you to think about getting to the point where you're perfect, because perfect is such an illusion. And that's not the intention here. The intention is more for you to reflect on, how can I improve on a daily basis? What did I do? What didn't I do? And really just helps you understand how you can continue to improve. Now, the second question I ask myself is, what are 3 wins that I had today? Now, your wins, quote unquote wins, can be on a micro level or a macro level. As someone who struggled with, reflecting on what I have achieved so far in my life, I tend to forget the small wins that I have on a daily basis. And now small wins are just so important, because for someone who especially comes from like a perfectionist mindset, it's like, oh, everything has to be big and big. But that's not really the case. Our smallest wins help us lead to those big wins that we've always been striving for. Like I said before, it could be on a macro level, like you receive a promotion, or you really perfected this recipe that you're working on, or you filmed new content, or you took great photos. It could also be on a micro level too, like, hey, just getting up out of bed this morning, or getting yourself to the gym, even though it was only like a 10-minute workout. Really highlight those big and small wins to really give yourself that self-confidence to be like, hey, like I'm doing the right thing here and I'm doing what's best for me. We all work so hard and put in our best effort every single day. And you really, really, really encourage you to give yourself that credit, because if you don't, you end up losing a lot of self-confidence, and that is not a place that I want you to be in. Third thing, what is something that made you happy today? And the intention behind this question is, for me personally, like I sometimes forget the things that make me happy. And that's something, I'm still trying to figure out. And it just brings awareness to what brings joy to your life so that you can keep doing those activities, or for the times that you feel sad or stressed, you know what makes you happy and you tend to gravitate towards those things to stress relieve or just ignite some energy into yourself at that moment. The fourth thing I write in my night journal is how I'm progressing on my goals. Now, with the intention behind this question, again, it's pushing on intentionality behind what we do on a daily basis. Am I doing things on a daily basis to get me closer to my goals? One of my goals is to build muscle mass. So how am I doing it on a daily basis? I'm going to the gym. I check that off as like, okay, that is something that I'm doing to progress towards my goals. And it really just helps me keep track to understand that I am doing things to get me closer to the goals that I want to achieve. The fifth thing I write is, what is something that I love about myself? Now, the reason why I ask myself this question is because as someone that struggles with self-confidence, this question really pushes me to really understand what I really truly love about myself. And I think the fact that it's even hard for me to write down more than 10 things that are not being repeated kind of says a lot, right? It says a lot about my mindset and how I feel about myself. This really gives me a chance to build that self-confidence and build that relationship that I have with myself, especially coming from a time period where I was depressed and I felt like it would be better if I wasn't in this world. It could be things like, you love your eyes, you love your smile, you love your knowledge. It doesn't have to be just always physical. Be something internal as well, your personality, or you have this other love for dance. Anything that you can think of where you just really love that about yourself and your personality. I think this question really helps remind yourself about how amazing you are and how, there's only one you, you're one of a kind. And it really shows the self-love that you really should give to yourself and the self-appreciation for just you being you. And the next thing is, what do I want to reflect on? Now, this is what I talked about earlier about expressive journaling. This is a chance for you to get down any thoughts that you've been thinking out throughout the day that you want to talk yourself through. Talk yourself about, hey, this is a thought that I had. What does this mean? How am I feeling? Really gives you a chance to just vent, right? I feel like all of us need a good venting session at some points. And sometimes, people could be busy. And this gives you a chance to really just put it on paper and write it all down and really get the heaviness of those thoughts out of your mind and onto a piece of paper where you can look at it from an objective standpoint and a bird's eye view as well. Now, there's another component to this. So when you're done getting all your thoughts out and talking about what you feel, I really will challenge you to think about, if your best friend wrote down the same things or had a conversation with you saying the same things about thoughts or certain emotions, and they came to you for advice on it, what would you say to them? Now, the reason for this is we are our own harshest critics. I cannot emphasize that enough. We are the hardest on ourselves when it comes to criticism. Right? When you kind of take yourself out of your own shoes and out of your own mindset of, I'll just suck it up. If a friend came up to you and that was struggling or was going through all these emotions, obviously you would talk it out with them and help them in their best interest. So this is a practice or an exercise that really pushes you to be your own best friend because of that component of where we are our own harshest critics and we judge ourselves so much. The fact that we're taking ourselves out of our own shoes and coming from a place of love and truth really helps you, push you in the way that you want to deal with that situation or those thoughts and how to move forward with those thoughts and emotions. And now the last thing I write down for myself at night is a night affirmation. I think having this night affirmation is something that just gives you comfort to go to sleep at night and to understand that, hey, this happened today, tomorrow's a new day. So there are so many benefits to journaling, and this is something that I really want you to start on. It has done so much for me in my mental health journey, and just getting those thoughts on paper and reflecting really helps me think with intention and think, what can I do on a daily basis to push me towards the life that I really want to live? Not only that, but it helps me reduce my stress, my anxiety about, the things I'm worried about in my life. Instead of keeping it all in my head, it gives me a chance to put it on paper and really reflect about, what am I going to do about this now? What can I do to help keep myself moving forward and really just help with the struggles that I go through in my life? But also think about all the positives that are also happening in my life as well. Now, with this journaling format that I just spoke you through, I'm going to put a link down in the show notes or down in the description to help, provide a format for you at the beginning. And I know it's a lot. So you can either start with one and keep adding on the more you journal and the more you journal, or you can choose different questions that really adhere to you. And I don't want to make it so fixed, like, oh, you have to do this question, this question, this question in order. Really build it to the way that you like. If you really like this episode, please review it, like it, leave a comment, share it with your people so that we can broaden this knowledge and hopefully make an impact on others as well. As always, guys, let's fall in love with the process of getting better every day and becoming the highest version of ourselves. Love y'all.